While on the one hand Rashi draws quite heavily from midrashic material, there is one cardinal difference between the two approaches to the text. Medrash is a collection of options. Rashi, on the other hand, limits himself to the Pshuta Shel Mikra. This is a point made very early on in his commentary to the Chumash, commenting on Bereshit 3:8, the Gan Eden episode. Rashi writes that while Yesh Midrashi Agada Rabim, while there are many midrashic interpretations in this case to Pasuk Chet, Va'ani lo bati ella l'pshuta shel mikra. My role is specifically directed at explaining the pshuta shel mikra of the text. And the flip side of this concept, that all material within the commentary must be based upon a pshat reading of the text. Which brings us to question 1 regarding his commentary to Bereshit 29:32. This pasuk can be divided into 3 segments. In segment 1 we are told of the birth and naming of Reuven. We then move on to the reason for the name, Ki ra Hashem ba'aniyi, and Leah's hopes and aspirations for the future that her status would be elevated to equal that of Rachel. As one reads the text, there is nothing jagged that requires any explanation, and hence question 1 focuses upon a rule that if it's not broken, don't fix it. There is nothing broken about Bereshit 29:32, and therefore no commentary was necessary. Worded differently, what is it in this pasuk that, from the standpoint of Pshuta Shel Mikra, there is a need for Rashi to comment upon? Furthermore, and this brings us to question number 2, if the parameters of Rashi is the Pshuta Shel Mikra, it follows logically that the commentary must be justified from within the text. According to the text, Leah's firstborn was named Reuven, connected to the shorish Resh Aleph Hey, to see, to notice, and with this name, Leah acknowledges the fact that God has taken notice of her suffering. In his commentary, Rashi offers a different explanation as to why Leah's firstborn was named Reuven, in which she pointed out the difference between her firstborn and her father-in-law's firstborn, Esav. Note the difference between Reuven, who had every right to claim the Bechorah, the title of firstborn, and yet willingly supported the spiritual firstborn of Yaakov, namely Yosef, firstborn of Rachel. Yet Esav disgraced himself by selling the firstborn rights to his twin brother Yaakov for a pot of lentil soup. In the words of Rashi, Ru'u ma ben beni leben chami. Note the difference between my son and my father-in-law's son. The problem here is that Rashi's explanation for the name Reuven contradicts the Pshuta Shel Mikra of the text. And while in all fairness to Rashi, he does introduce the commentary with the words Rabbeinu Pirishu, that this is midrashic material, in this case based upon statements made in Gemara Brachot, nevertheless this does not justify its inclusion from the standpoint of the Pshuta Shel Mikra. As we mentioned earlier, Va'ani lo bati ella, I limit my interpretation, the Pshuta Shel Mikra, so that if and when, for whatever the reason, Rashi borrows from midrashic sources, the information that he uses must be aligned with the Pshuta Shel Mikra. This is not the case with respect to his commentary to the naming of Leah's firstborn Reuven, in which it is in conflict with the Pshuta Shel Mikra of the text.